Tall Love. Chapter 11. Hi Mum, a piece of good news, we're coming next Friday. Unfortunately, though, we can't stay long, we'll have to leave on Sunday afternoon, but we'll spend 2 days and nights with you, isn't that fantastic? Don't ask too much about Bretta, be patient and wait until you meet her yourself, it's very soon now. Thank you for the invite, and do pass my best to Dad. See you soon, Rob. They were sitting on a futon, drinking wine, talking. Both barefoot, both exhausted after the most incredible sex. They had already taken showers. Robin's genes were good at hiding his turn-on, but they were unable to delay his ejaculation. 3 of them, in fact. He didn't regret a thing, least of all the genes themselves. He was happy as a fish. They decided to continue shooting tomorrow and dedicate this night to love, more love, and nothing but love. It's a shame your new boots are not waterproof, he said. What? Why? Are we going fishing? I'd like to take a shower with you wearing them. Well, then even at its highest point, the shower head would only be able to wash what I needed to wash most, she giggled and stood up to fetch a snack from the fridge. And he stood up too, just to hug her from behind. She seemed very short to him without the jellies, he could now easily kiss her buttocks. Through the fabric of her superfine silk gown, the only garment she had on. She turned around, put her arms on his shoulders, pulled him closer, and held him tight. Do you think your parents will like me? I'm a bit anxious. Why? He knew the answer, he just didn't want her to move anywhere. You know why. If your mum didn't like your wife. Ex-wife. If she didn't like her because she was half a head taller than you, can you imagine her reaction when she meets a woman who's 3 heads taller than your ex? I'm sure she'll love you. Her attitude towards Margaret had nothing to do with her height, she was just too selfish, too egocentric. Don't worry, my love, we'll be cool, I promise. He rose on tiptoes, reaching for her breast with his hand to give it a tiny, tender stroke. She bent a little so that he could do it. She smiled. Thank you, baby. And then she lowered down, kissed his hair, took him under his armpits, and straightened up with him in her hands. Then she kissed him again, this time on the lips, put him on her hip, and walked into the kitchen, ducking under the crossbar. Time to have something to eat, my little one. Hi, Mum. I know this letter is out of schedule, but don't worry, nothing's wrong. I would just like you to keep this one secret, okay? The matter is Bretta is somewhat different. I already told you she's not a usual girl, and in fact, she's very unusual, in a way. She's absolutely adorable, and I'm sure you'll find her lovely, but I'm also sure you'll be surprised by her appearance. I don't ask you not to be, this, perhaps, would be impossible to execute. But please, could you at least try not to make it too obvious? Thank you and take care. Kiss you both. Yours. Rob. He didn't mind when she lifted him and carried him a little.
If you're enjoying the story, or even if you're not, please like or dislike it, share, and leave a comment. Positive or negative, they are all welcome. And do visit my page on Patreon, where you'll find new stories as well as the familiar ones. Patreon.com/Alex Steak. Thank you.
Although initially, it felt awkward to him, quite soon he grew to like it. Enjoy it, actually. Bretta showed great respect for his ego and never did things like this in public. He also liked her calling him little. Compared to her, he was little after all, and who wouldn't be? Especially when she put those huge boots on, it didn't happen terribly often, but she came to like them much more than either of them could have thought. Still, Bretta wore the monsters only in Robin's place, her own flat had lower ceilings. He hired builders and erected a huge mirror in the master bedroom on the ground floor. It was not as wide as the one upstairs, but stretched all the way from floor to ceiling, all 10 feet of it. Now they could play in front of the mirror, which was capable of accommodating Bretta's immense height even with the jellies on. That mirror provided Robin with the second shock. The first one came from the film, after he processed it and printed it. He did it himself. He couldn't trust the job to anybody else, even in his own office, let alone in a high street shop. He considered pictures that were supposed to illustrate the Bretta versus dwarf comparison too private. When those were taken, neither Bretta nor Robin was able to see their full reflection in the mirror. Her observation point was too high, his too low. The camera, however, captured them impartially from the right angle. In the picture, his head happened to be even lower at her thigh than he'd previously thought. And her waist, breasts, shoulders, and especially head were so high, he skipped a breath looking at the photographs for the first time. Bretta, when he showed her the pictures, just laughed. "I knew I was a giantess next to you, but I didn't imagine exactly how giant I was. It's too funny, you know. You look so small here. Look, your chin is just a couple of inches higher than my knee. Your chin, my knee, can you imagine that? Come here, gimme a hug, my knee-high lover." Now, thanks to the mirror, they could enjoy the view every time she put the jellies on. And the view never failed to stun them both, time after time after time. They explored new poses. They even invented one where Robin was suspended upside down, his feet on Bretta's shoulders. During this impromptu experiment, she supported his body in this very odd position while he satisfied her with his tongue. She liked it so much, she came sooner than usual, luckily for him, because, after all, he wasn't a bat and couldn't hold it for too long. And it didn't take long for him to explode, either. She never forgot to please her little lover, steadily moving his body up and down against her own, and those gentle frictions of his manhood against her breasts and midriff made him moan with pleasure, upside down or not. So, the full-length mirror was the second shock. But not the last one. To be continued.
If you're enjoying the story, or even if you're not, please like or dislike it, share, and leave a comment. Positive or negative, they are all welcome. And do visit my page on Patreon, where you'll find new stories as well as the familiar ones. Patreon.com/Alex Steak. Thank you.